Today we're going to talk about how to create a macro in Excel. Before you create a macro, you need to add the developer ribbon to your to your ribbons. So to do that, you come up to your File menu, and you're coming down to Options, and you want to click on Customize Ribbon on the left-hand side. And on your main tabs over here, the developer ribbon is listed, but most of the time it's not checked. So all you need to do is go ahead and check this and click OK. So we now have a new ribbon at the top for the developer in which we can look at macros, record macros, and look at the Visual Basic application code that involves a macro. Now, when we macros are susceptible to malicious code and viruses. So you want to check your macro security, and you want to make sure to disable all macros with notification. What this is going to do is every time you open a Excel file that is a macro file, you or the user are going to have to enable it. So make sure you have that setting set. Okay, so now let's open up a Visual Basic file that already has a macro contained in it. So if I go File, I know that this is one that I've just opened recently. Notice that the file extension is not .xlsx for an Excel file. It is .xlsm, and that's for an Excel macro enabled file. So I go ahead and click this open, and because I opened it before, I already enabled it. Let me minimize this and resize this so that you can see it through in the window here. Give me a moment here, guys. But you would have gotten it enabled, okay? Now, a macro, you want to create a macro if you consistently do the same steps, repeat it over and over and again. So let's make the assumption that this is a report in which the Human Resources Department puts out every day. So what we want to do, and every day we have to time stamp it, put a date on there, and we want to put our department name. So we currently have a macro already, and I'm just going to click in a cell. If we go to Developer and we click on the macro button, we have a macro that's going to insert the date. Okay, before I run it, I just want to, well, we'll go ahead and run it. And you can see that what it did was no matter where I was in this worksheet, it put the words today is in cell D2, and it used the equal today function and put it in E2. So when I run this report tomorrow, I can click that insert date and it'll put tomorrow's date. Now, let's go ahead and create a macro. And a macro is very easy to create. All you do is record the macro and then you stop recording. Now here's the key. You should practice your steps when you're recording a macro, because when you start recording, it's going to save every single step you do. So you want to try and not make too many mistakes, or else when you make the mistake, you're going to click undo. All of that is recorded in the macro. So let's sit here and say, all right, we're going to put our department name, which is going to be called Human Resources Department, in cell D3 and E3. Okay? So we're going to first start by clicking Record Macro, and you name it. And this name is going to be called DEPT, Department Name. So it's going to put in a department name. Okay? You can create a shortcut. If I create a shortcut, click in the shortcut text box there. I'm going to hold the Shift key and N. So now my shortcut to insert this, instead of if I want to click macro, run the macro, I can go hold Control Shift N. It's going to be stored in this workbook, and we're just going to say this is going to display the Human HR Department name. Okay, and you can put your name, created by Diane Biddle, create by your name. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now, whatever I do at this point, it's going to be recording. So I want to click in cell D3. I'm going to go ahead and type Human Resource Department. I'm going to click the blue check. I'm going to go to the home ribbon. I'm going to bold it, italicize it, and I'm going to select D3 and E3 and merge it across that. Now I'm going to stop recording. I'm just going to come to developer and I'm going to go over and say stop recording, and my macro has been recorded. Okay, so let's check it out. I'm just going to delete this. All right, I'll come up to macro, and you can see now I have two macros. It says department name. I'm just going to, well, let me cancel here first. Let's just click someplace else. Now I'm going to go to macro. I'm going to run department name, click run, and it inserts the department name. So if you have a repetitive task that you do every day, like let's say you have to print out 3 hard copies of this report every single day, you could create a macro, and later on there's another video that's going to show you how to assign a macro to a button, and then you can run that macro by just clicking a button. This is how to run a macro, how to create a macro.